to a blue sky day. Planes overhead spraying on my blue sky day away.
Tuesday, April 30th, 1992, the second broadcast of the Hour of the Time. Welcome back, friends, and for those of you who are just catching us for the first time tonight, we're here with a message, and we're going to be here as long as we can. Every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Central, and the message is, wake up. The world is not as you perceive it. Powerful forces manipulate vast populations for certain benefits to them, as well as for the completion of what they call the Great Work. Others call it the New World Order. Others call it a one-world government. It requires the dissolution of the sovereignty of all individual nation-states, including the United States of America. It requires that we give up our Bill of Rights and that there be a redistribution of wealth. And the American people, in any kind of a reorder of civilization on that magnitude, will certainly suffer more than any other peoples, for we will have to give up the most. Last night, we broadcast in its entirety the Constitution of the United States of America and the articles in amendment thereof as a gift from our founding fathers and from the Hour of the Time and from Stan and Elma and myself and Annie and Little Pooh to the American people who don't have a copy. You're not going to understand this broadcast unless you have a copy of the Constitution. This broadcast is paid for by me, nobody else. I don't belong to any organizations. I don't owe anything to anyone. I don't have any millionaire looking over my shoulder. We barely scrape to pay the rent, put the food on the table, and that's all we need. And as long as we can do that, we'll continue. I've been traveling across this country for years now, trying to wake up the American people. Everyone in this country knows that there is something wrong. They can feel it in their gut. But they can't put their finger on it. They can't identify it. They don't know what it is. They don't understand how a trusting people can be so easily subverted and manipulated. Our country is in the process of being destroyed, not from a great enemy from without, not from the evil empire, not from Saddam Hussein. It's coming from within, folks, from within. We are being destroyed by our own apathy, the abdication of our power as a people. Remember, of, for, and by the people. You can't have of, for, and by the people if the people don't participate. It's impossible. Cannot be done. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Across America, I would like to hear that phrase everywhere. Wake up, wake up, wake up. My message is going to be broadcast to you as long as we can keep this satellite time. I would like to tell you my creed, ladies and gentlemen, so that you know a little bit about where I come from. I believe first in God, the same God in which my ancestors believed. I believe in Jesus Christ and that He is my Savior. But this is not a religious program, and I'm not going to preach to anyone. Second, I believe in the Constitution of the Republic of the United States of America, without interpretation, as it was written and meant to work by our forefathers. I have given my sacred oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I fully intend to fulfill that oath. Third, friends, I believe in the family unit, and in particular my family unit. I have sworn that I will give my life, if it is required, in defense of God, the Constitution, or my family. Fourth, I believe that any man or woman without principles that he or she is ready and willing to die for at any given moment is already dead, and is of no use or consequence whatsoever to themselves or to anyone else. Understand, ladies and gentlemen, that at the end of World War II, a lot of things happened. An awful lot of things. A great ally became a great enemy, and a Cold War began. A Cold War that was perpetrated not from the peoples of those nations, but from the top, from the leadership of the nations. Understand that at the end of World War II, Harry Truman signed the United Nations Treaty and the United Nations Participation Act, which pledged that all nations would come together under the United Nations in a one-world government. And secretly it was agreed that the United States and the Soviet Union would provide the military forces for what would become the world police force. In light of recent history, I can see through the mist some of you shaking your heads out there. Bill's lost it. No, Bill hasn't lost it. Back in the 60s, the State Department published a little booklet called State Department Publication 7277. That document outlined everything that I just told you. It seems, ladies and gentlemen, and I verified this myself when I was a member of the Office of Naval Intelligence back between 1970 and 1973, I saw the documents outlining the plan for the New World Order. It was called Operation Majority. And in these documents, it said the same thing that State Department Publication 7277 outlined, and that the headlines of newspapers in 1945, 1946 outlined when the UN treaty was passed. The same thing happened when they created the Disarmament Agency for the ultimate purpose of disarming all peoples and all nations. The newspapers again outlined in their headlines the plan for world peace under the United Nations.
UN under the guise of peace and safety, rendering your rights guaranteed by the Constitution to be meaningless as part of its new global standard of freedom.
I've talked to a United Nations representative, and they perceive the US and the Second Amendment as a serious problem which they would like to get rid of.
Why do you think, now that the New World Order has been brought out into the open, that there's such a push to take the guns away from the American people? The guns. The only thing that really keeps us totally free from oppression, from an outside enemy, or from within, from our own government, should it become oppressive.
And first they roll for the underdog till you win.